Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hey Joe, What You Know. Delighted to welcome Gareth Roberts with me today. Gareth's former founder, well, original co-founder of the Anfield Rap, and he's also got a podcast called The Late Challenge. Gareth, great to see you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Looking forward to the big game with Everton. Nice to finally get that out the way. And yeah, just busy, mate. As you say, stuff with the late challenge, stuff with Spirits of Shankly, um, doing this. There's always stuff going on. It's a busy time, isn't it? Around the football, loads of games at the moment, loads of games for Liverpool as well. 5 in 15 days and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be really busy.
Yeah, it's good to be busy though, isn't it? I think just
Yeah.
tell us a bit about sort of your background, and I know you sort of co-founded the Anfield Rap. I remember messaging you back in sort of like 10, 11 years ago now, it must be at least. Um, yeah, and then now you've done loads of bits. You're on the overlap as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
how's it all going?
Yeah, good, mate. I mean, in terms of the Anfield app and all that kind of stuff. I mean, when I was in school, really, I always wanted to sort of go in the direction of something football related, football journalism, that kind of stuff. I actually did as part of an English project when I was in senior school. I made a fanzine. I've still got it somewhere. I called it Any Spurs, not Tottenham Hotspur, as in spare ticket. Um, and I was always interested in sort of fanzine culture and that kind of stuff. And then I later started one myself. So I had a fanzine called Well Read that I used to run with a colleague of mine that I worked with at the Daily Sport back in the day. Um, I went to uni and all that. I did journalism, but I fell into like sort of newsy type jobs rather than sport, and it was never really what I wanted to do. And so I sort of kind of took a bit of a backdoor route in that I just started a blog one night. That to be honest was the big step towards doing what I do now, really. So I just thought one night, people are doing blogs. I can see blogs out there. I'll do a blog. And it was as simple as that. And it was about midnight as well. And I just wrote like a piece on like, how I become a red, why it was important to me, that kind of thing, really. And I never thought sort of anything of it, really. Just put it out there, showed it to a few friends. And they were like, that's all right. That's quite good. That like you should do more. So started like writing quite regularly on this blog, and just over time it grew, and it was getting shared on like forums. Obviously, forums are still a thing now, but forums were much bigger then, because there was less sort of social media, more forums. So there started to get shared on forums and things like that. It was also around the time of Hicks and Gillette and Hodgson and all of those kind of things. So,
Yeah, good old
um,
days.
you know, day, yeah, days you'd rather forget now.
Mm.
But I'm from there. Like the blog got quite popular and was getting some decent numbers. And I was just talking about it with a mate once, and he said, "Well, have you thought about ever, turning it into a fanzine, basically?" And I thought, well, I'd love to do that. And so we just had a bit of a crack with Well Read, and it did all right. It sort of washed its face. We got it into proper shops and
Yeah,
things like that, which anyone who's ever done anything like that knows, like, there are some barriers you'd have to jump over to be able to do that. So we got it into Smiths and news agents and stuff like that, sold it over the internet, and it did all right. Did all
yeah,
right. And then sort of off the back of doing Well Read, Andy Heaton got in touch with me once, and I didn't know him then, other than a name on the internet, if you like. I'd never sort of met him
yeah.
personally, but we thought maybe it'd be worth having a chat, and we had a chat. We were talking about Hicks and Gillette, and we were talking about sort of basically the campaign to oust them and what was
Mm.
going on with the club and all of that kind of stuff. Grim days, really, but from that point, really, we just started talking about podcasts, and I'd had a little go here and there, just stuff over, like this sort of thing, like over Zoom or whatever it was back in the day.
Mm.
And it was all right. But when we were talking about it, we were saying, well, there isn't really one from Liverpool, and there isn't really one, match goers from Liverpool. There was a couple back, there's loads now, isn't there? They're everywhere, they're omnipresent. more podcasts than you can shake a stick at and all that. But then it wasn't the case, and
Yeah.
I think there was one from like I want to say like America or Australia or something like that, which was all right. But like I say, there wasn't really any regular dedicated Liverpool podcast. So we were just sort of talking and saying, well, is this maybe an idea then? Is this something we could do? And it just grew legs from there, really. We kept talking about it. Andy started roping in people he knew, like he knew Neil Atkinson and
Yeah.
said, Neil would be a great host and things like that, which he is, of course. Came up with the name eventually. I came up with some bad names as well, but I'm not going to tell you what they were. But we stuck with the Anfield Wrap and we got the website going. Got Ian Maloney on board who runs Love Follow Conquer.
Yeah.
So he did a lot of the website, the design, the logo for the wrap and all that. That all came from sort of Ian's genius, if you like, and yeah, we just got more and more people on board, and then went and recorded one. Didn't know how it would go, didn't know how it would land, but it landed well from day one, really. And very soon after, it just rolled and rolled and did really well. And we got a radio show
Yeah.
very shortly after. So we were on City Talk
Yeah. Yeah. No, well.
up the tower, yeah. And as I say, eventually it sort of got to a point where we were all doing a lot of work, but it was all in our spare time, after work, at night, at the weekend, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And it just reached a bit of a head, really, where it was like, we I think we need to bite the bullet and try and do this full time. And so we did.
Yeah.
I was working for the Mirror at the time. So I walked away from that job to have a go at the rap full time. A lot of people said it was crazy to do so and all that kind of stuff, but I just thought, well, you have a go or you'll
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I had a go, and it all worked out. So yeah, as you said before, did that for sort of 11 years or so. Um, Enjoyable times, lots of great experiences. So went to lots of places that I probably wouldn't have gone to otherwise. I mean, I'm just some scruff from Iton, basically. So I never thought I'd end up in Australia and Hong Kong and all of these places. But fantastic to go out there. Fantastic to meet Reds out there. I was actually having a drink the other week with someone I met out in Hong Kong. She's a big Red and all that kind of stuff, and it was nice to catch up about that trip. So yeah, it was fantastic to meet Reds all over the world and just sort of see how they consume the football. And I mean, it changed my outlook on a lot of things. Do
Mm.
you know what I mean? I mean, when I grew up, I wrote about this before. When I grew up, I was going to match with like people from Highton, Page, Moss, Dovecot, West Derby, whatever. A very small circle that you could draw around one part of Merseyside, if you like. And then obviously through doing the rap, I got to know people all over the world.
Yeah.
And it just changed my outlook on sort of, it was easy for me to go to match. I just got the bus. But you've got people who are like, on the other side of the world, getting up in the middle of the night, watching the Reds and then going to work and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But not only that, I was meeting people that were wearing Spirit of Shankly badges that, understood all the Hillsborough campaign and stuff like that. Wasn't just about the football for them. They understood the culture of Liverpool too. And I always thought that was absolutely brilliant and still do. So the endless debate about locals v out of towners is just so boring for me, really. I mean, I just think there should be a way that make the ground, make the football club as accessible as
Mm.
possible. Really, would always be my stance on it. Certainly after doing all that work, but yeah. So the end of the rap for me, I just fancied like a bit of a change of direction, really. There were one or two things as well that I wasn't necessarily fully behind. I'll put it that way, if you like. There's some differences of opinion as well, and so I just thought it was time to go. And so I wanted to do something different. I wanted to try my hand a little bit at teaching and stuff like
Mm.
that. So I've done some bits and bobs of
Mm.
that. Not anything that was really paying the bills, if I'm being honest.
Mm.
And then ultimately, it was sort of like I probably would have had to have done some further studying and maybe done like a postgrad or whatever and things like that. And I just,
Yeah.
in the end, I just thought I just don't think I just think I'm too old and I haven't got the time for it. And so I didn't do that. Ended up falling back into sort of PR, worked for Edgehill University for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, I was volunteering, in a more prominent role at Spirit of Shankly as well. And then just Spirit of Shankly they want to grow, they want to get bigger, they want to get the message across about what they're doing. They felt that they needed a bit more sort of comms and that kind of stuff themselves. And so now I'm doing that, and I absolutely love it because it's very much aligned with my values. I've always been a supporter of SOS from the start. I featured them an awful lot in Well Read and stuff like that back in the day. I do believe that supporters do need to stand up to clubs over lots of things, including ticket prices, etc., which SOS has been at the forefront of campaigning for. So yeah, as I say, aligns with my values, loving getting stuck into it, and yeah, loads of exciting things coming up.
Excellent. I remember Well Read. I did my journalism training at Radio City actually with Peter McDowell was there, and I remember doing a little feature on Tranmere Rovers back in the day for his show as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good times. But yeah, I mean, the late challenge podcast is your sort of latest thing at the moment with Mo. I really enjoy it, I've got to say.
thanks,
Especially
mate.
the debate about crisps yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's funny that with the crisps. We so when I first left the rap, it wasn't the intention to do another podcast really, and then just as time went on, and I was just it started it with Paul Coke, of course, and he's decided to step away from it only in fairly recent times, and then Mo stepped in, and he's now the regular co-host with me. But yeah, when I kicked it off, I always wanted crisps to be in it, as silly as that sounds, just because when we used to do Talking Reds on the Anfield Wrap, we went down the road of talking about crisps on there quite a lot, especially when it was me and Craig. And people started sending us crisps from all over the world. And it was
Amazing.
great. Like, basically used to get to try all these fantastic crisps from all over the world. So I thought, well, let's get that over onto the late challenge and do a little bit of that. There was a bit of an agreement for a while with the rap that, I wouldn't go all out on another Liverpool podcast as well. So, with that in mind, if you like, it was like, okay, well, it needs to be about, general football,
Mm,
maybe a little bit of Liverpool, but other stuff too. And that's how it kicked off. And that's why it was, crisps, it was mental health, it was being middle aged, it was a little bit of everything.
yeah.
The focus has ended up being more back onto the football again. But I quite like that we can still talk about absolutely anything. I mean, we did on the Patreon show last night that follows the free one each week. We talked about Everton
Yeah.
and what have you, but we ended up talking about living on your own and dating apps and all kinds of stuff. And I just like that. Like I like to sort of for want of a better phrase, sort of keep it real a little bit, and hopefully that resonates with the people who do go over onto the Patreon show. It always feels that we can be a little bit more honest over on the Patreon as well, just because it's behind the paywall and it
Mm,
feels like a nice little gang of people who obviously like us and wouldn't pay if they didn't,
yeah.
basically. Whereas the free show and anyone being able to tune in is a bit more Wild West. So just a little bit more careful on that one maybe, but no, I enjoy doing it, and ultimately that's why I went back to it. When me and Kopi started it, it wasn't it was always like, well, it'd be nice if it makes some money,
Yeah.
obviously, it'd be nice if it pays for itself at the very least, which it does. But it was never like, well, we're going to take over the world with this. Do you know what I mean? You're never going to. I don't
No.
think with the sort of the model that we're doing it, and also the amount of competition now as well. I mean, to get on now, I would say in this sort of field, you need to be putting stuff out virtually every day about
Yeah.
every subject, every time a story breaks and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, I haven't got the resource basically to do that
Yeah.
on my own or just with Mo now. So I think it'll probably stay around sort of what it is. It'll grow slowly but surely, which it always has done. And yeah, got no plans around packing it in. Still enjoying it. Still like the sort of the outlet of it, if you like. Find it quite therapeutic to do it. Certainly when we've been beaten, but that's not been very often this season, and fingers crossed it stays that way. But yeah, it's just nice to do it, and it's nice to that people take the time to feedback on it and stuff like that. I mean, there's a fella there last night who we've got various ways that you can sort of throw in if you like what we're doing. So you can obviously you can join the Patreon and sign up for an extra show every week, but you can also use like buy me a coffee and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. And there
Yeah,
was someone in the comments last night said like, oh, I've thrown in something for you there, lads. Like, I love the show and all that kind of stuff. And I've just gone like back as I'm talking. Oh, thanks very much, mate. Cheers, type of thing. And then I've logged in this morning and I had a look, and he's thrown like 75 quid in. I'm
wow.
like, cheers, mate. So he obviously does really love the show.
Yeah,
And so people stop me at the match and say they enjoy it and stuff like that. So all of that's nice. And look, it's the late challenge as well that's led to being on the overlap as well. I was quite surprised to get the shout, considering that there's bigger podcasts out there and people with bigger followings than me and all that kind of stuff. But they just said they'd seen me talking online about Liverpool. They thought I spoke well and spoke sense. Not everyone would probably agree with that, but and would I like to come on? So yeah, again, I'm enjoying doing that. I was there yesterday. So there's a new show just gone out today, I think. Yeah, it has gone out today.
yes.
So yeah, I was there yesterday and it's great.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Good laugh.
So Carragher's obviously there. I did a shoot back in October with Carragher and Henri um,
Oh, lovely.
for a company called 90 Min, and we did it was like a film promotional thing, and it's basically sort of Venom film. I don't know if you know the Venom films. It was for
Fair
that.
of the name,
It
yeah.
was it's like a Marvel one. Anyway, we had them for 3 hours, and they were both great. To be fair, Henri probably looks like he could still play. In fairness, it's an
Yeah.
absolute athlete still. Probably be a easy top ten team player. But yeah, Carragher was good. So I greeted him, and he was like, "What do you reckon? What do you reckon to slot?" And he's like, he's only been there a few months, but could already see the sort of the model was being formed, couldn't you? And sort of the way
Yeah.
that we were going. But on that, uh, we've got the big one tomorrow, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison. Um, Moyes is back again as well. Yeah, how do you think it's gonna? Are you going first? Are you going tomorrow?
No, I've been doing my best to try and hunt down a ticket, doing the sort of even using the podcast, saying has anyone got a spare
Yeah,
on there, and post on social media and asking round and all the rest of it. But no, they're like gold dust for this one, and rightly so. Obviously, Liverpool are flying. It's the last derby at Goodison Park. All of those things just mean like they're really really difficult to get hold of at the best of times, and even more so this time around. And as I logged onto like Facebook this morning, I could see lots of other Reds making the same appeal, saying, there's lads here who go to all the games who were without and things like that. So I don't think it's going to happen. I
yeah,
think I'll just be in the pub like many other people. But looking forward to it. I think for Everton, they will obviously try and make it an occasion
yeah,
rather than a match, and we need to do it the other way around, really. So for them, I'm sure. Well, I mean, I've seen something earlier on social media that they're talking about, like greeting the team bus and making a big fuss of it all and getting the ground pumping and all that kind of stuff. You'd expect them to do that, and
yeah,
and rightly so in the last derby. For us, I think we've just got to try and shut all of that out, turn up and be the best version of Liverpool. And if we are, we'll beat them. It's as simple as that. We're top of the league, we're title favourites. They're 16th. I think they've won. Sorry, I think they've lost 10 games. I think in all comps, 10 or 11 games. They've only won 8,
mm,
and it's like they've struggled to score. They've been easy enough to get to at the back. Like I say, I'm sure they will up the game, and it's always one of them. I always think this about sort of London games as well. Thank God for us, we only have the one derby. Derbies are obviously different.
yeah,
There is more of an atmosphere, there is more of an edge. The supporters make sure of that, and so you will get that obviously. But we've got plenty of players there who've experienced it before. Obviously, it didn't go to plan last season. I was at
mm,
that one. That was to me, incredibly naive by Liverpool in terms of how they were around the set pieces and things like that. Everton very much Evertoned that game.
Yeah.
Got stuck in. There was lots of challenges on both sides and that kind of stuff. All the stuff you expect.
Mm.
It'd be interesting from Slot. Obviously, it's his first derby. He hasn't experienced it before. But look, there's plenty of people at the club who have. Plenty of people who can tell him what to expect. He'll watch all the videos. He'll do
Mm.
all his prep, and I don't think any of it will really come as a surprise to him.
No.
And look, I just think, I mean, I said it yesterday on the late challenge. At the end of the day, whatever happens, we're either coming out of there with a 6 point, a 7 point, or a 9 point lead at the top of the Premier
Mm.
League in February. Now, if you'd have said that to us at the start of the season, absolutely every red is surely taking that, because
Yeah.
I don't know what you expected yourself, but like going into the season, I didn't expect a title challenge. I've got to be honest. I thought it's too much to sort of immediately walk in the footsteps of someone who's been such a huge figure at the club that Jurgen Klopp obviously was. Then there was the level. Then there was the sort of the aspect of a little bit of an unknown in Slot. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure we all did our due diligence and read up about what he did at Feyenoord and all the rest of it. But equally, it was like, well, how does the Dutch league translate
Mm.
to the Premier League? We've seen plenty of people come from that league and not do so well, not least down the road at Manchester United. So, there was a little bit of trepidation, and to me, it was more. I was thinking more third place.
Mm.
I thought was a realistic target this season, and then look, it's gone better than any of us could have ever imagined. And
Yeah.
for me, Sunday took absolutely nothing off it. Really, of course, you get all the media nonsense around it. Of course, it's never nice to see Liverpool lose a game, but I just don't think it affects anything about Goodison Park at all. I just think the majority of the lads who'll be on the pitch and playing, were eating the roast potatoes when Liverpool were playing at Plymouth.
Yeah.
So it's not going to have any bearing on them. And
Was-
they've already turned up so many times and performed. They've already passed so many tough tests, and so I think they'll absolutely be ready for it, absolutely be prepped for it, absolutely be pumped for it. And if Liverpool get the first goal, then all the stuff about the atmosphere, all the stuff about Goodison, the last derby, and all that will quickly dissipate. And
Mm.
you could imagine Goodison might even turn on Everton if it goes badly wrong for them, because it's capable of doing that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. They haven't really experienced that since Moyes has taken over, have they? But yeah, I mean, just on the sort of title challenges in general, what how do you look at Arsenal? I know they've had ups and downs, but I do feel they are going to be fairly close right till the end.
Mm. Yeah, I think so. I still think it's mad that he didn't go and get a striker. Obviously, he
Mm.
did try and get Watkins. Thankfully, that failed. Good for Liverpool that it did. But I still think, there probably should have been someone somewhere in world football that they could have recruited to sort that particular problem, but they didn't do. And I think we'll be talking about that all season long. Every time they play, there's someone somewhere saying they should have a number nine, they should have a number nine, they should have a number nine. And I think, to me, like, they come across as quite an emotional side. Like, I look at Liverpool and I look at Slot and I look at the way Slot side play, and it's not robotic, but it's systematic. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's sort of, what they're going to do to an extent. It's quite calm.
Yeah.
It's not all the blood pumping stuff of the Klopp era, and that's sort of like a reflection of the manager, obviously. Whereas
Yeah,
Arsenal are maybe
definitely.
a reflection of the manager too, in that they're quite up at, like, I just thought some of the stuff around. Look, fantastic for them that they beat Man City five
Yeah.
one sound. But some of the stuff that went on around that was absolutely wild. Playing the song at the end, and
Yeah.
the celebrations and all that kind of stuff. Like, you haven't won anything, lads. Like, you've won one game, and it just felt a little bit over the top to me.
Mm.
And then funnily enough, they then go and lose to Newcastle. So I feel as though, like, they're like really on this edge all the time of, like, this should have been our
Yeah.
year. This should have been when we won the league.
Yeah.
City have dropped
Big highs
away.
and
We,
lows.
yeah, like, they've been knocking on the door, and City have kept, brushing them away. And then the season City have fell away. I'm sure they're all thinking, well, this is the season we go and win
Yeah.
it. And then we've just emerged from nowhere. And it's like, hang on, who are these
Yeah.
lads?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we expected them to be nowhere because Klopp left, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. And yeah, here they are, top of the league. So, yeah, look, I'm not counting any chickens at this point. I just think we've got a fantastic opportunity. And obviously, the schedule now like is unbelievable. Like this 5 games in
Yeah.
15 days. You know that to me legitimizes everything that went on at Plymouth. Like you've got to give those players a rest somewhere
Yeah.
because most of those players are going to play most of those games, and so it made all the sense in the world for him to do what he did, because this is the thing that we actually want. This is the
Yeah.
thing that's important. We want to win a title. We want to celebrate it properly. We
Yeah.
want to be in
Definitely.
grounds when it happens. We want to have the big party we've all dreamt of for all of these years.
Yeah.
And look, fantastic to win, the title during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But let's all
Wasn't the
be honest,
same.
it wasn't the same. Of course, it wasn't. So, we need to win it in the way that we've always dreamt it, and that's what I want more than anything. Like I've seen us win everything else
Yeah.
basically. I've seen us win the FA Cup, League Cup, European Cup. I was even out in Qatar for the Club World Cup. So this is the one where, like, you know, I haven't been in the ground for it. Like
Yeah.
that night when they won it, and obviously it was fantastic and all the rest of it, but just wasn't
Yeah.
just wasn't right, was it?
No,
Do you know what I mean? So
no,
I want that wrong to be righted by us winning it in the way I always dreamt.
definitely. Hopefully, as I just seem to think, just got to keep plodding on. Um,
Yeah,
are you looking forward to the Carabao Cup final? I think hopefully I'm going to be there as well. But more on the sort of press side, doing post-match interviews for a sports organisation. But yeah, I'm hoping to sort of do stuff around it as well. But I think yeah,
nice one.
my dad supports Newcastle, so we've got a bit of a family rivalry there on that one. But yeah, they're going to be a tough nut to crack. I think they're desperate for a trophy, aren't they, the Geordies?
Yeah, good side as well, and look, I think a good side, good manager, and I thought how he managed the semi final against Arsenal over the 2 legs was brilliant.
Mm.
Newcastle deserved it, played well. They've got players obviously that can cause you a problem, and also they've got the fans. Like I think we bang on a lot about our atmosphere, our fans, how much we support our team. I think that Newcastle are right up there as well. I thought
Yeah,
St James's Park was unbelievable for that game against
yeah,
Arsenal,
yeah,
and the war flags group, and I'd organised all the flags, the banners, and all that kind of stuff. It looked fantastic, and it was crackling in there,
yeah.
and undoubtedly played a part. Obviously, we know all about cup finals. We know all about going down to Anfield South, and we'll be well supported down there as well as they will be. But yeah, it should be a cracker. It should be a
Mm.
good one, and I don't think it'll be easy by any stretch.
No,
I mean, they caused those problems when we went to St James's Park this season. Obviously,
yeah,
I think that was probably one of our poorer games, and Gravenberch in particular is probably like that was his poorest
mm.
performance of the season. I think he was just at that particular point a bit gassed and a bit out of energy. So hopefully we can turn up with a better performance than we did that day. But again, a bit like the title itself, I'm not taking anything for granted. I think it'll be a really tough game, and they'll be absolutely pumped to do it because what is it? They haven't won a major trophy since 1955, is it, or something like
yeah.
that?
It's 70,
Um,
70 odd years, I think, isn't it?
yeah, which
At
is
least.
which is unbelievable for. And look, I like Newcastle. I was up there the other week, and I think it's a great city. It's a proper football city.
Yeah,
People are sound. I always think like there's not a big difference between Scousers and Geordies. Really, I think we're sort of on the same page. I always think I was in Glasgow recently as well. I went to a
mm,
Celtic game and I thought the same there.
nice.
So I think Glasgow, Newcastle, Liverpool, very similar types of people, very
Yeah,
similar senses of humour and all that, and all very passionate about the football. So yeah, for all of those reasons, I wouldn't be taking anything for granted. And yeah,
mm,
look, and I don't even know that I'm definitely getting a ticket. I mean, I've been to the home games, but I didn't get to any aways because I'm not on the ladder for aways. So I'm in the ballot. So
fingers crossed.
after I get off, yeah, after I get off this call, I'll be making sure I enter the ballot, and then yeah,
Yeah,
keep your fingers crossed. But yeah, I was there last year. Went to the League Cup final last year with my son. It was the first time he'd seen Liverpool win a trophy in the flesh, if you like,
Great.
and it was fantastic. And it was a great story, wasn't it, about how we won it
Yeah.
and the run to that final, and all the adversity that we got around, and using all these players from
Mhm.
the youth team and all the rest of it. So look, people do the League Cup down, but it's I always say it. I said it last night on our podcast. Any trophy and red ribbons is good, and for that reason, there is a little bit of sadness about going out of the FA
Yeah.
Cup. But equally, there's bigger fish to fry, and the league title is the one we really want. But once you're in a final, and once you're there, you're not taking that lightly. He's going to put
No,
out the strongest team he can put out and try and win it. Obviously,
definitely. Definitely. I'm sure it'll be a great occasion.
yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm sort of running out of time on the Zoom, Gareth. But yeah, I mean, what are your sort of hopes for the rest of the season for you personally as a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. I mean, I try not to get too stressed out about sort of where it's all going. I mean, that's why I thought all the quadruple chat, whoever it was coming from, was nonsense. I hadn't engaged in it with my friends. There's a reason why it's never been done. It's because
Yeah.
it's impossible to do. It's because you run out of gas.
Yeah.
We saw that with our own side. So whatever comes, comes.
Yeah.
I think, rather than stressing about, you know, we might not do this or we might do this, just enjoy it. We're watching a great side. We're winning more often than not. We're playing some great football, loads of goals. Mo Salah in the form of his life and all the rest of it. Gravenberch, an absolute revelation.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, amazing at the back. The list goes on, doesn't
Yeah.
it? And I just think enjoy it. Enjoy it. Get behind the side, sing the songs, shout, scream, do your best as a supporter. Let's see where we all go.
Definitely, mate. And then one last one, which I ask everybody, who would you put in your top five-a-side team? And it could be any player of any era.
Just one player.
No, five players in a
Oh,
five-a-side team.
you want me to pick the full
Go
five-a-side
on
team?
then.
Okay. Well, number one's got to be John Barnes. Um, John Barnes at his peak, of course, not when he moved into central midfield.
Yeah,
I'd
the
have Steven
90s.
Gerrard in there
Yeah,
for
there he
obvious
is.
reasons. Not brilliant player and height and lad. So that's two. I'd have Allison in goal
Yeah,
because I've said before, I think he's the best I've ever seen, and he's possibly the best Liverpool I've ever had. I know some people say Ray Clements and get really angry about the suggestion that Allison might be better, but Allison can probably run out and score a goal because he's done that before as
yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
what a day
so
that
so
was.
so what so what am I up to? Three.
Yeah.
I mean, are we just saying Liverpool players here or
No,
any
whoever you
players?
want, whoever you want.
Okay, so I'm up to three. I'll have Ronaldinho then because I absolutely loved him.
Yeah,
I've been
just
trying to
it.
sort of been trying to coach my son about Ronaldinho because I just think he was an absolute genius. Love watching him. And then I've basically got no defenders here, have I, so far? So I'll have Virgil.
Yeah, of course. Got to
Yeah,
go in. I think he's been in everyone's team. Whoever Bethlehem dot put him in as well, and Allison. So yeah, you're both on the right track there.
yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us today, mate.
All right, mate. Enjoyed
Yeah,
it. Thank you.
and yeah, look out for the Late Challenge podcast, everybody. It's on Twitter, you on YouTube and Spotify as well,
Everywhere, mate. Yeah, just look up the Late Challenge podcast. You'll find us.
everywhere. And yeah, like and subscribe. Hey Joe, what you know, and we'll see you soon.